Hello race fans, welcome to the Melbourne Street Circuit here at Albert Park for the 2023 Australian Grand Prix. We're down here in the land down under for what is no doubt going to be an exceptional qualifying session under the sunset. And here's your practice report for the Australian Grand Prix. And Keita Watanabe and Matsushita way down the order, 13th and 15th. So it seems like the Toyota car just is not acclimatized to the conditions and the characteristics of the Melbourne Street Circuit. Keita Watanabe makes it up the order in 6th place in practice 2, but Matsushita is still down the order. Toyota, though, noticing some reliability problems with their engine, failed to participate in practice 3. Toyota brings the new the setup is pretty high downforce-ish for the circuit. Powertrain durability, Alpine have beaten Ferrari in the pecking order in the performance index. Toyota has reassured us that their engine, they have something surprising for the next upcoming season, but no rain is anticipated for this weekend. Here we go, barreling towards the line Watanabe is, with tons of speed, 3rd overall. Around the final corner, Watanabe is not improving. He set up 2 green sectors, but he improves to the final corner. He's going to make up a tiny bit of time as he crosses the line. No improvement overall. And 13th and 14th, Watanabe and Matsushita very close together. So it just seems like the Toyota is inherently not very good around the Melbourne Street Circuit, which means that we might see them out in Q2. But George Russell makes it into qualifying 2 in the Williams car. Towards the line, Watanabe, DRS wide open. He's going up the gears, crosses it, 3rd overall. He's improving, 2/10 up on his previous times. He crosses the line, but he's still not ahead of Matsushita. And Watanabe's not improving on this lap. 6/10 down, and he enters the pit lane. And that's going to put an end to his qualifying session, and he's not going to improve overall. And here we go. Watanabe beats Matsushita in the end. So there was apparently a sensor fault in the commentary box, which unfortunately had us miscommunicate and put Matsushita ahead of Watanabe. But in fact, it is Watanabe ahead of Matsushita. G'day, folks. Welcome to the Albert Park Street Circuit here in Melbourne, Australia for the 2023 Australian Grand Prix. We're typically here at the beginning of the season. However, due to what happened over the last 2 years, we find ourselves putting Australia towards the end of the season, the penultimate round, and let's see what our drivers can do around this tight, twisty, and technical street circuit where the curbs very elevated, and of course, any mistake could be punishable by either gravel or grass. That could definitely just spin the car into the walls that are very close to the circuit. And here we go, onto the starting grid, and big news from the weekend that Keita Watanabe has put a brand new engine into the back of his Toyota race car. And that is definitely going to spice things up as he'll be starting at the very back of the grid. And there are tons of grid penalties throughout the grid this Grand Prix. However, Valtteri Bottas, having secured his 3rd straight Drivers' Championship, will be throwing caution to the wind, and he starts at the front of our grid. But what can the drivers do? We have a mismatched order, and they're going to be trying to fight their way through the field to make up the damage limitation and try and maximize their point scores. And here we go, onto the starting grid. Here's how the drivers line up. Valtteri Bottas, riding an all-time confidence high, gets pole position around Melbourne with Lewis Hamilton, P2, the 2 drivers on exceptional form. Then is Sergio Perez 3rd, Fernando Alonso promoted to 4th, Pierre Gasly 5th, and Max Verstappen down the order in 6th, Russell 7th, Ocon 8th, Norris 9th, and Stroll in 10th. Then you have Carlos Sainz 11th and Daniel Ricciardo 12th. Both cars down the order from where they were originally supposed to be. Antonio Giovinazzi 13th and Nicholas Latifi down in 14th place. And you have Vettel 15th, Zhou Guanyu 16th, Matsushita down the order as well, taking some new engine components in 17th, and Yuki Tsunoda down in where he is in 18th place. Rino Sato 19th, Nikita Mazepin 20th, then Charles Leclerc and Keita Watanabe, having taken full new engines, start at the very back of the grid. Let's see what our drivers can do in Australia. 5 red lights. Can Bottas get off the line as well? What can the other do? It's lights out, foot to the floor, and our drivers are away. And it's an exceptional start from Valtteri Bottas as Keita Watanabe contests some drivers down down into the first corner, and that is a huge dive bomb from Watanabe. How many cars did he manage to pass? At least 7. As Nicholas Latifi gets by him, he gets caught up on the elevated curb. He's under attack from his teammate. He's going to see if he can do another dive bomb into turn 3, but unfortunately the move is not able to get done as he gets blocked by Daniel Ricciardo. There's a bit of contact with Nicholas Latifi, but Keita Watanabe gets the move done, having ridden that high elevated curb, and that is an exceptional start. Let's look at the race start for Keita Watanabe. And actually, if you look at it, he gets bogged down in the second phase. It's not a particularly good start. He just gets in the slipstream of the Haas ahead of him. But that huge dive bomb, that was so lucky. We've seen when drivers go that wide. Remember Daniel Ricciardo in 2019 with Renault. He lost his front wing going that wide across the grass of the pit exit. But he just manages to get through. That is a very close contact. And a bit of the front wing gets nipped off with contact with Nicholas Latifi. And here's the Latifi's from his perspective. We can see how he just goes wide around Watanabe. He's just finding every gap. The two are fighting, and he gets a little bit on that elevated curve, and that's definitely not going to look good in Latifi's eyes. Well, we got to look at Fernando Alonso. Here we're used to seeing the wily old fox pull off some great starts, but this is exceptional. He beats not only Max Verstappen, but around the outside of Lewis Hamilton. Valtteri Bottas extends the gap due to all the fighting, but Fernando Alonso finds himself in P2. Good on, son. Here we go, closing in on Antonio Giovinazzi. Keita Watanabe around the final corner. He's in the slipstream. He gets a way better exit to Giovinazzi, who's struggling on those hard compound tires. And Watanabe makes the position. He's going to dive into turn 1 and get the move done and dusted. And that is move done. And he's very close to Stroll. Can he continue his impressive form of dive bombing drivers? Here he goes. He's going very audacious, very far back. And how does he manage to find that gap? If that gap hadn't been there, he was literally millimeters away from race-ending contact. Let's look at the replay. Stroll, you can see, closes in. Now, how is that not made bigger damage? That is exceptionally lucky. Here goes Watanabe through the fast left-right of 11 and 12. And oh, he gets a little unsettled. You can see him. He moves. He managed to correct the car, but Antonio Giovinazzi is pouncing on it with DRS. Here he goes. Watanabe. He goes on the outside. That's not going to work, and it doesn't. Giovinazzi for a second race in 3. He's spun around, and that's caused a huge blockade of cars at turn 13, and that the safety car has been deployed due to that blockade, and Nikita Mazepin is out of the race. Let's look at the replay. You can see on the exit at 12, he takes a little too much curve, and you can see the rear end just steps out, and Antonio Giovinazzi, who got a great run out of that fast chicane, is going to pounce on the opportunity. However, you can see there, yes, you can see he just goes for a gap that's not there. With the move on, let's wait and see. You can see from this perspective here, he's going for the move, but he backs off. But he suddenly just goes again. So that little uncertainty of going for the gap causes Watanabe to believe that Giovinazzi's backed off. So he turns into the corner thinking it's his. And I think that's a racing incident. I would have blamed the but on both parties.
Yeah, well, what the they're doing, honestly.
And Giovinazzi causes a huge blockade and he tries to get himself upright. Here's Charles Leclerc, who's right behind the action. Some quick reflex from the Ferrari driver to avoid contact, and he creates this huge blockade. And here's what happened behind us. Nikita Mazepin just drives into the back of his teammate, breaking off the front right suspension. But there was so much time to react, and he causes the Constantina effect of cars losing front wings and getting penalties. Matsushita has a 5-second penalty. Safety car coming in at the end of lap 6. Here we go. Valtteri Bottas becoming the de facto safety car as we go around turn 15 towards turn 16 now, and it's foot to the floor, and Watanabe gets caught with his pants down. He's lost a little bit of car on the curb, and there leaves space for Sergio Perez on some new soft tires, hitting under the safety car. What can he do? Down the inside into turn 1. Watanabe goes wide to contest, but it has left him vulnerable again as Sergio Perez gets a better acceleration out of turn 2, barreling down towards turn 3 we go. And let's see what he can do around the outside. He dares on Watanabe. Those soft tires, he gets forced a little wide as Watanabe tries to defend the positions his car perfectly, but he's under attack. Here goes Sergio Perez towards turns 11 and 12, and he gets around the outside. Audacious move, but Watanabe fights back. Who's going to get the DRS? Perez squeezes Watanabe towards the wall, through the kink, towards turn 13, and Watanabe just barely manages to keep it ahead. Towards the line, is Watanabe going to try and get a move done on Stroll as drivers start to pit? Those who didn't pit under the safety car, Watanabe up into the top 10. Closing up on Lance Stroll now. Through turn 16. He's got a great exit. And he's got DRS. Stroll has got DRS. But the Toyota is a faster car in comparison to the Aston Martin. As he barrels down. Hamilton pits at the end of this lap. Around, down the inside. Into turn 1. And there he goes. Now he can catch up to George Russell. High flying in the Williams. Trying to dive around the outside of turn 9. He goes on the grass. He made the same mistake last year at the exact same part of the track. And that allows Sergio Perez to take the position over the Toyota driver. Through turn 16 we go. Watanabe very close to the rear diffuser of George Russell. Flying high in the Williams car. Not pitting under the safety car. And he gets the position over him as Valtteri Bottas, our race leader, is exiting the pit lane. And Watanabe pulls an easy move around the outside, down the inside of George Russell into turn 1. And here we go, our leaders pit. Max Verstappen pits ahead, which gives the lead to Esteban Ocon in the Alpine, and Watanabe takes third in place in the race. Oh, and that's Charles Leclerc, and that is another reliability failure for the Ferrari driver. Here goes Charles Leclerc, and the engine just pops again. This has been a reoccurrence in the end portion of the season for Charles Leclerc at Ferrari, and that's surely going to sour the end of the season further than it already has.
What's going on? There's a problem with the engine now?
I will come back to you.
Okay, so the loss of power is normal.
Oh, there's a little snark on the radio from Charles Leclerc, understandably. Around the final corner, Watanabe is going to inherit the lead of the Grand Prix, but Valtteri Bottas on those hard compound tires is absolutely flying, trying to return the favor from the dive that Watanabe pulled on him in Interlagos last time out. Watanabe goes a little deep into turn 1, out of turn 2, and Bottas is going to fight back. He's got DRS. Towards turn 3 we go. Watanabe gives him the room, knowing it's not in his race, and that was some exceptional battles, and hopefully we see some more from these two drivers. Here goes Matsushita, still with that 5-second time penalty for the contact in the little of Giovinazzi's spin. And here goes Hamilton. He gets squeezed by Matsushita, but Hamilton with the DRS gets the move done and dusted past the Toyota driver. And that's Pierre Gasly going slow through turn 3. And yes, that smoke coming from the back of that AlphaTauri, and Pierre Gasly's out. Let's look at the replay. Let's see, was it an engine failure? Yes, it was. The engine going up in smoke for Pierre Gasly, and for the man at the Red Bull Junior team that is not looking good for his season. And Keita Watanabe pits at the end of this lap. So, let's see where he sets up. He's going to put on the softs undoubtedly. With about 12 laps remaining in this Grand Prix, he's going to have some exceptional lightning pace. He's going to try to make up as many positions as he possibly can as he pits. And there he goes. And the team put up a brilliant stop. 2.1 seconds. Exceptional work from the boys and girls at Toyota. And here goes Keita Watanabe. He's going to exit the pits, and he's going to rejoin the track well ahead of George Russell. In fact, he's not even in view. There goes the Williams around the final corner, but Watanabe is way ahead of him. Closing on Esteban Ocon now. DRS deployed. The Alpine on those hard tires is going to be vulnerable to the Toyota on the softs. 2 steps softer than the Alpine driver. He's going to dive down the inside into turn 1. Squeezes Ocon towards the grass, and he gets the move done. Ocon's going to think that was very harsh. Let's look at the replay here. Was there some maliciousness? Because is there something that Alpine could potentially debate over the radio? He does miss the apex slightly, but I think that's just hard and fair racing. Down the inside goes Watanabe. A little bit of contact, though, so that's going to not play well in Ocon's mind. Not happy is the Frenchman. On the final lap, the 2 Red Bulls closing up to Lando Norris. Here we go. Down the inside, Max Verstappen. Oh, it's Sergio Perez! Perez! He a huge contact, and it is high drama at the Red Bull team as the 2 drivers take one of them out. And Sergio Perez, no front wing. How is the car still able to run? And Watanabe, Ocon, and Ricciardo take Perez's places, and Perez is now, well, he's going to finish in the points at least. No safety car. So there's only a few corners left, but there's carbon fiber everywhere. Surely the race will end under yellow flags. Valtteri Bottas takes another win. Despite taking the championship, he's going to take a win again. He's on absolute fine form in 2023. And Watanabe will take P6 from last to 6th. That is an impressive recovery drive from the Toyota driver on a circuit that we thought the car would not be good around. But let's look back at this incident between the two Red Bull drivers. You can see, actually, it's the Alfa Romeo. The back marker gets in the way and just doesn't have much space. Perez turns in, trying to squeeze his teammate out and trying to hold the position. But Max Verstappen, yeah, I mean, in all fairness, Verstappen had nowhere really to go. He gets squeezed towards the wall. Where do you think he's going to go? But that being said, the onus was on him to kind of back out of that, as well, he knew that might happen. So that's a bit of miscommunication between the two Red Bulls, but it's a high-profile incident.
That's what you get when you don't leave the space.
And I'd love to be a fly on the wall at that Red Bull debrief, because surely fireworks are going to be flying from everyone, but Sergio Perez is going to be very lucky that the crash wasn't bigger. Sorry for censoring most of that, but that being said, you can understand where the fear and frustration comes from such a high-profile incident. But Valtteri Bottas is on top, and rejoice, Spaniards, and rejoice, Fernando Alonso fans, as Fernando Alonso makes it up onto the podium. What an exceptional start from the Alpine driver, and that is all the difference that made to get up onto the third step on the podium. Kato Watanabe, a great recovery drive. Sergio Perez still finishes in 9th, and Matsushita, with that 5-second penalty that he had to serve during his pit stop, puts him just outside the points. Unfortunate, however, still a decent drive from the Japanese driver. But Red Bull imploding on the last lap. Remember the last time two Red Bull drivers crashed together? Well, it was 2018 at Azerbaijan, where we saw both drivers DNF, and Red Bull will be grateful that at least both drivers were able to finish the race. And Mercedes lock out the Constructors' Championship over Red Bull, and that is a 10 Constructors' Championship on the bounce. And Mercedes will be celebrating tonight in the land down under. Valtteri Bottas takes another win. Fernando Alonso back on the podium after a long absence. And we're heading now to the season finale in Abu Dhabi to cap off what has been an exceptional 2023 season. Thank you for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you at the finale. Goodbye.